Sean.
And I'm Sean.
Hey.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Sean and Sean show. This week, our challenge to everyone is it's a tips and tricks outdoors week. So our challenge is to get online and take a video of yourself demoing your favorite camping hack or taking a picture of your favorite DIY equipment that you own. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys' tips and tricks of camping, of backpacking, of experiencing the outdoors. But yeah, Sean, if you want to talk about last week's winners too, and what we did last week.
For sure. Yeah, last week was actually a lot of fun. Last week was our Let's Get Artsy Challenge week, and we had some extremely fun things show up. Jason is pulling it up for you now. But so our finalists this week were number one with the awesome henna tattoo, very impressive. And our second finalist was this awesome, or Jason, do you want to go back to number two real quick? Because yeah, our second finalist, they made this thing out of clay that sits on top of the wine glass. It was super, super neat. Big mad props there. And then our third finalist was a video, a pretty phenomenal painting party, getting all dressed up in nature. Can't argue with that. And then the finished product, solid. Number four, some air guitar action, new album cover there. And then number five was a very impressive creation of, I think, the vibe that just about all of us are feeling right now and need a little, you know what, we're going to be good. We got this. And after y'all voted, our finalists, our two winners are number one with that amazing henna tattoo, mad props. That was Miss Casey Higgins. And then our other winner was number five, Mr. Jason Lab with the amazing cartoon. That was super, super cool. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of like I got a Where's Waldo vibe on the shirt.
Yeah. I love this comic. It's so cute.
So good. But yeah, so those were our winners from last week, our Let's Get Artsy Challenge, and very, very excited to see what videos and pictures everyone's going to be bringing in this week. So,
Yeah.
What did speaking of this past week, did you do anything fun, Sean?
Yeah, well, so this past weekend, I pretty sure this is the weekend where I went to the grocery store again. I've been walking to the grocery store lately, which has been really nice. So it's a 3-mile walk from my house. So it turns out to be like a 6-mile round trip walk. But I went to the grocery store, stocked up on some food and snacks, got some Cheez-Its, which I ate almost the whole box yesterday. But yeah, I had more of a low-key weekend this weekend. I went for a walk to the grocery store, and yeah, I've got food galore now that I'm chowing on. So,
That's
what about
awesome.
you?
You earned the Cheez-Its. Well played then.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm actually very excited. My stupid finger wound from my cooking expeditions a couple weeks ago is actually healing up really good. So I'm contemplating going paddling. I've been taking some off time with it, but instead last week I did an urban hike. And honestly, urban hikes are like one of my favorite things because it's the same concept as hiking outside, but you're walking like through downtown and you have these like big old buildings and stuff, and you don't really know what route you're going. You're kind of just meandering until you're ready to turn around. So we actually did it here in Tallahassee, and we started at Cascades Park, and then we kind of took FAMU way down towards Railroad Square, which is a beautiful greenway, awesome pedestrian bridge. Lucky Goat has a new coffee place over there. Didn't know that. So it was kind of fun just exploring all the stuff there. Eventually, we went through Railroad Square, which is like a weird kind of ghost towny vibe right now, just because there's not a lot of stuff open, and it was almost like walking through a carnival that like shut down with all the colors and cool stuff. It was neat. And then kind of went up and then around and took Gain Street back up and got to pass by all the shops and stuff there. And
Nice.
it was a gorgeous day. It was just a lot of fun. Like thoroughly enjoyed it. The weather was perfect for us. It was cool.
I actually, how far did you guys go on your hike? Did you like round mileage? How far did you go?
I want to say this one was maybe like 5-ish miles with a couple detours here and there.
Nice. Yeah, I actually saw Jen's husband Gabe. He was on a run when I was out on my walk going to the grocery store, and we didn't even recognize each other until we like had passed each other, and like that brief eye contact you make, and we're like, wait, what's up, Gabe? So that was kind of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It has been really neat seeing how many people are just kind of out walking around. Like even in my neighborhood, like looking out the window, I'll see people. I'm like, I don't think I've seen them before. And you can tell everyone's like kind of getting bored of their regular walking route. And they're like, I'm going to go try a different one. So it's neat seeing everyone exploring around for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Usually I usually go to the Publix. It's about like half a mile away, but this time I go to the one on Tharp so I can get more mileage in. Just fill my day with something besides TV.
I heard that. Well, speaking of Publix, Publix had a sale on the AHA brand seltzer this past week. So we were kind of joking about it last week, but we officially have a new one to try. So today, I think we are trying Black Cherry Coffee, the AHA brand.
So with this BOGO deal, there's like 6 different flavors that I found at Publix. And some of them, well, actually, I'm not going to spoil all the flavor tastings. What do you think of Black Cherry Coffee?
It's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't necessarily taste like coffee. Like I think it's not what I was expecting.
Definitely. I can taste the black cherry in it, but I don't get the pairing of black cherry coffee in the first place, really. So yeah, it's not my least favorite seltzer that I've tried, but it definitely is not my favorite.
I would agree. It's almost like it tastes like a strange black cherry chocolatey taste, but isn't quite right. And someone was like, it's kind of coffee. Let's call it Black Cherry Coffee. I'm like, yeah, that works. We made a bunch of it already. Why not?
Exactly, dude. That's exactly what I think of it too. Like, I don't know that I get the coffee, but I think they definitely were like, it tastes kind of like black cherry, but it's something else. So it's all right.
It's not bad. It's got a little bit of caffeine in it. I'm a fan of a little bit of caffeine and in electrolytes. I hear that's what plants crave. So
yeah, I saw the 30 milligrams of caffeine. So I think maybe that's like one benefit of it. If you're not a huge coffee drinker to begin with, you might like the black cherry AHA water.
That's very true.
I would give this
a little baby step.
Yeah, I would give this like a 4.7 out of 10, maybe. That's probably my rating, for being honest.
I would probably agree. I was saying that first on a 5 scale, and I would say about the same. I'd like 2 out of 5. Yeah. Hey, it was a different one. That's different. The beauty of it.
We'll have to try more AHAs later too. We'll have to give them another shot.
I agree. They had some fun flavors when I was there. I'm definitely intrigued by some of the other ones.
Cool.
For sure. But so I know Sean mentioned it in the beginning. So this week is our camping hack weeks, and similar to AHA Black Cherry seltzer water, I have a weird love-hate relationship with camping hacks. We'll talk more about them as we get in. But I think if you haven't heard of them before, I'm sure you've seen the BuzzFeed quizzes, and it's like top 50 million camping hacks to bring in the backcountry when you're camping, and some of them are awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like, some are just like, that's an ingenious idea, and then some other ones, it's just like that. I feel like that takes more effort and work and takes up more space than if you were just get a piece of equipment. And I appreciate DIY. Like, yeah, sometimes you don't have the money to spend on a fancy new toy, but Yeah. So yeah, Sean, do you have anything else about the camping hack challenge?
I think we're in the same boat here. A lot of times it just seems like some DIY stuff works excellent, and we're going to talk about the cool stuff that we like, our tips and tricks. And then some of it just seems like a bit too much work, and then it's actually worse sometimes, you know. For instance, this is just an off the top example that I saw. This must have been a couple of weeks ago, but I saw this person. They had like an old like allergy pill plastic case, and they melted
Yeah.
soap and then filled these little tablet things up with soap, and it just seemed like more effort than just bringing a bar of soap. Like, there's no way you're saving that much space and freaking weight by melting your soap down and putting it in these little tablets. I don't know. There's just like funny things like that, you know.
I hear that. I hear that. Well,
But
I
in the same
know.
time, though, yeah, like if you're trying to be ultra light, like I guess every ounce sometimes matters for people. So
Yeah, yeah, it definitely helps. I also think a lot of time people just forget how when we're talking ultralight and counting ounces and cutting the ends off toothbrushes and stuff, people are strong. You can carry stuff. Like it's one of those things where no, you don't want to bring a cast iron pan with you. But I personally like to bring a couple creature comforts.
for sure.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who think the opposite of that, but yeah. But in terms of camping hacks, I went through and found a handful of my favorites that I'm going to share with y'all real quick. And I think a reason I like a lot of these are they're functional and they make sense. And it was like one of those things where maybe I didn't quite think about it, and then when I saw the pictures and whatnot, I'm like, oh yeah, that is 100% right. Because so the first one is using those silica gel packs that you get to store your stuff. I've actually always done this with my dry box. I have a Pelican dry box that I love to death. But after a trip, if you take something out and it gets a little damp and you put it back in, you're going to have a little bit of liquid and water left in it, especially with your cookware. But while you're storing it, keeping those gel packs in to take out all the moisture, because one of the nastiest things that you can find is after you put something away for a few months and it was kind of damp, oh, the smell, it is hard to get it out. So utilizing those silica packs that we get in all kinds of packaging, save them up and put them in your stuff. Just make sure you don't eat them. I hear that's bad.
I actually really love this one too. I have never done this before, but I'm going to now because literally like my pot here too. I've definitely like this pot has been through hell for lack of a better term. And I like it's not the cleanest, like most nice pot that I have anymore. But definitely like I feel like that'll make taking care of your gear, especially your cookware, so much easier. Because there's definitely I have this pot for as an example has seen a lot of trips and it's been gross a lot too, just because of like the smell of damp mildew. You know, you think you dry it all out, but no.
For sure. And if you like invest in this good equipment, it's important to take care of it. And I think that's the big trade-off with the camping hacks is it's like, okay, if I'm going to spend the money on it, you want it to last. And if you take good care of it, it usually will last a very long time. So the silica gel ones were one of my favorites. And another one that I found was using a rock to hang your tarps. And I've actually used this a lot. So on the tarps, you usually have those metal grommets that sit on the outside, and that's what you can tie your cords to. But if you get really big winds or a lot of rain, those things can yank out pretty easily. And if you no longer have like a good tying point, you can't hang it right. So instead of just using the grommet, you get a rock and you wrap the tarp around it so it makes that kind of bulge right there. And then you just use your cord to tie a loop around it. And then this one, they also have another loop so you can kind of clip a rope into it, but you can just tie that rock piece directly to the tree and tighten it up however you want. Or if you have a tarp that doesn't have a grommet where you want it, you can now put it anywhere. So utilizing a rock to fix a broken grommet, or just straight use a rock to start with, I'm a big fan of that. And then my last one that I wanted to mention, this is kind of an old trusty, is heating up water before you go to bed and put it in your Nalgene bottle or your water bottle. And then you can put that down at the feet of your sleeping bag, and it keeps you, number one, warm through the night. And yeah, it might cool down as the night goes on. But the other thing that you're doing is, if it's going to be super cold out and you leave your water bottle outside, that sucker is going to be frozen the next morning. So keeping that bottle with you keeps the water warmer throughout the night. And I will say too, definitely make sure, like, if you do it, don't do super crazy boiling water. Like, you don't want to burn yourself, of course, but it's one of those things where if you're on a trip, you're probably gonna have a stove because you got to cook anyway, and you've got a water bottle because you need to drink water. So it's not anything extra that you have to bring with you to keep yourself warm. It's utilizing kind of what you have already. So I know those are a few of my favorite camping hacks and tricks. What do you have any also, Sean?
Yeah, so I think I'm glad that you ended with the Nalgene at the foot, because something that the hacks that I have learned throughout the years, and really the most important like tips and tricks that I think I tell other people, and I also like always bring with me, is making sure that my foot care is A1. Because I personally I have the worst feet. Like I have like I have a flat foot. It's freaking wide as heck. Like, it's so hard for me to find good boots that like actually fit well to my foot. So I get blisters all the time, and I get them on the bottoms of my feet, on my heel. I've got them on like between my toes. Anywhere that you can get a blister on your foot, I've definitely had a blister there. So for me, foot care is like my number one thing and my biggest tips. And so there's tons of different articles and things you can research about how to take care of your feet on the trail. My biggest tip though is to just bring more socks than you think you should. I personally like to have like 2 pairs of socks a day sometimes, especially if I know I'm going to be covering a lot of miles in a day. I'll be sure to pack extra pairs of socks just for that day. And during lunch, I like to switch my socks out, because I also am very sweaty. I'm a very sweaty person. My feet and my hands sweat a lot. Even like right now, my hands are super sweaty, and my feet. So like having wet, damp, sweaty socks is what makes those blisters come up more. You get those warm spots on your feet, those hot spots. And if you don't take a minute and adjust, that's when a blister forms like that. And if you know that you're even if you're just hiking for a 2-day trip, that blister can appear overnight, and all of a sudden you're struggling to get out of the backcountry because you got a massive blister on the bottom of your foot. So I like to bring a lot of different things. A lot of people like using moleskin, and moleskin is definitely something that I've used in the past. Again, I think something that's super important is just preventative blisters. As soon as you feel that hot spot, in my opinion, I like to bring tape with me and just put tape over that spot and allow it to glide, rather than like, I guess, have the pressure and the friction that creates that blister. I usually bring duct tape with me too. And just tape in general is good to have when you get that blister, or if you get the blister. So you can put moleskin over it to help also allow your foot to glide over wherever that spot's at. And give it more of a cushion and a padding, so that hopefully that blister won't keep forming. But in my opinion, like anytime you first feel that hot spot, it's a good idea to just take a minute, stop, and give yourself a bit. One trick that I've learned, especially like working with other students and people who might be new in the backcountry, is as a trip leader or someone who has more experience in the backcountry, I know a lot of people might bring boots that they might end up breaking in. And so anytime that I go on a trip, and if I'm leaving other folks who I know, like we've got 3 days ahead of us, that we're going to be in the backcountry and we're going to be covering average of 8 miles a day, within 30 minutes of being on that trip, I personally will, even if I don't have a blister forming, I'll stop and I'll be like, hold on guys, I've got a hot spot on my foot, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and take my boot off, and then I go through like the steps of how to treat for blisters. So people are more comfortable of like, hey, take care of your feet. It doesn't matter if we have to take 10 minutes off of our 8-mile trek time, you know, like take care of your feet. So that's my big tip for you guys is just go look up different ways to treat your feet. Bring extra pair of socks. And then my other hack is just bring a lot of tape. I keep tape in my first aid kit. But I also keep one roll of tape goes in my first aid kit, and then I like to keep a roll of tape in my brain too, with my backpack. Usually it's duct tape, but I only was able to find this. So I don't know what I did with my duct tape, but that's my hacks for you guys. Take care of your feet.
Awesome.
And bring some tape.
When you said keep it in your brain, I'm just like, what the heck are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
You held it by your head, and I'm like, oh, you mean the brain of your backpack?
The brain of your backpack. So this is the brain of my backpack. You can keep it in the brain or the hip belt. This attaches to the top of my backpack. That's what I mean by brain.
That's freaking great.
Yeah,
I know,
keep it in the brain of your backpack.
you talking about foot care and stuff. I know one of our guys who we talk about foot care all the time. JR, one of our challenge course facilitators, me and him had the combination love for toe socks. And oh my gosh, and actually, I think JR's here. JR, do you want to talk a little bit about just how amazing the toe socks are?
Yeah, I can give a TED talk on this, but like Sean, I also have really bad foot issues. And I think also, and this is gonna sound really nerdy, identifying the type of blister is really important, because there's a difference between like a friction blister, pressure, like pinch blisters. And so identifying the kind you're prone to in that preventative care is really important, because if you're fighting the blister when it's already there, you've already kind of lost. You're just putting out fires. So yeah, I really like toe socks because I tend to get those pinch blisters between my toes, which isn't a friction blister. It's just the pressure of the toes on each other. And the toe socks give that cushion in between them and keep them separated, which is like really difficult to do over long distances. Like even if you get the like toe separators that they sell that seem really great in theory, they'll hold up for like maybe a mile. But after that, they start fading away. So Ingenie toe socks, I don't get paid by them, but they have changed my life and I love them. They are awesome. And they have like 15 different kinds. And a really popular one is they actually sell one that is a toe sock liner paired with a hiking sock. So if you do like the two, but I have really sweaty feet, so I cannot do two socks because then it's just going to be a nightmare. So yeah, check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
The toe socks, they're so cool. And I know they make them with like tons of different materials. They've got your all wool ones. They have your light ones. So depending on what you're doing. And I personally, I love my Chacos. They are my go-to shoe. And on those cold mornings where you're like, I have my Chacos, but I don't want to put my boots on, I can wear my toe socks with my Chacos. And number one, look super freaking cool with socks and Chacos. But I can also use my big toe strap on it. It does. They're great.
Definitely, yeah. And again, like echoing what JR said, like everyone's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me and JR, we have sweaty feet, and that's the thing is like I know that when I get nervous, excited, anything like that, my feet, my hands, they just get sweaty. So I know that come an hour in, I'm probably gonna have a hot spot because my feet are super sweaty because I was super excited or nervous about the hike or the day ahead, you know? And so I'm gonna have to switch my socks out because my socks are gonna be sweaty. And that's just a thing that happens to people. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, you never want to shake Sean's hand after he's like gotten off the challenge course or getting ready to go paddling. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, you'll slip right off.
We wave a lot before we had to only wave. But yeah, so and we were talking about how some things. Jr. mentioned one too with the foot separators, how they work for a little while and they kind of go out, and it kind of brings us to our next thing of some of our camping hacks that we've seen that you see it and you're just like that's neat in theory, but it either doesn't work or just that's just dumb. So I was going through them earlier, and there's so many of them where you look at it and you're like, that's just not an efficient use of weight or effort. And I found a couple of my top list of dumb items, and I'm going to share them with you real quick. So the first one is basically someone saying, use your umbrella to put your food in and hang it in a tree to keep the ants and deer and stuff away. Well, number one, who has an umbrella on a camping trip usually? It's not a small little thing to put in your pack. And then secondly, I hate to tell you, but bugs can fly and jump out of trees. And it's like, why wouldn't you just put your food in a container of some kind? That just doesn't make it. So top dumb one is the food and umbrella one. And then this might, I don't know how everyone's going to feel about this, but the one that drives me crazy is using Doritos to do fire kindling. Because number one, I don't think it works as well as they make it look like it works. Number two, why are you going to burn your Doritos? Eat them. Like, why would you burn your food? And the third one is there's a million and one better things you can use as fire kindling that you probably already have with you. You can bring with you. Or I hate to tell you, but it's nature. There's wood and kindling everywhere. If it's wet, I hear you. That's why you can bring some as backup too. But don't bring Doritos for kindling. Eat your Doritos. They're delicious.
I'll say, yeah, if you're hiking or backpacking or camping, you're already burning enough calories, so you don't have to burn your Doritos, right? Like, you don't have to burn those calories.
No. Yeah, what do you have any that you've seen in the past, Sean, where you're just like, what?
Man, mine was just that one where I saw this video of, and I don't know if it was a joke or anything like that, but someone had like maybe it was an old gum container or something, where like you pop the gum out, and they had like taken the sheet off of it and pushed all the little gum pieces back in, and then they put soap in it. They melted soap and dripped it in there. And I just thought that was like so time consuming and silly. But yeah.
I hear you. For sure. And Jason, do we, I know we made a poll. Can you launch that for us while one of the big questions that we have for y'all is kind of, so we've talked about DIY stuff and camp hacks, and we want to know out of all your camping equipment, like what percentage would you say is like homemade DIY gear, and then how much is like equipment that you purchased or bought? So our REI versus DIY quiz. And while we got that going, we want to hear from y'all. Do you have any favorite camping hacks that you've heard of or seen or tried? And then on the flip side, do you have any that you think are just straight hot garbage? Feel free to hop off mute if you want to tell us, or you can throw it in the chat. Jason, do we have any in there? I haven't been taking a peek at it too much.
Yeah, nothing in the chat as of late.
I will say this is a camping hack that I just thought of, and I don't know if it's actually a hack or not, but before I ever had like all the gear that I do now I have a bunch of gear, and I'm very fortunate that like I've been able to create have a career in outdoor rec, and so it's driven a necessity to get this kind of gear and like get it acquired over Christmas and stuff like that. Having friends, making friends that have gear that you can also borrow is a great way. It's a great way to get gear that you don't have. You just borrow people's gear. So if you don't have, say if you don't have a sleeping bag, I used to borrow my buddy's sleeping bag like this must have been when I was 18, and I was like a freshman in college, and I didn't even have a sleeping bag yet. And I would borrow my buddy's extra sleeping bag and a sleeping pad before I ever had one. So yeah, borrow.
Borrowing gear is totally clutch, because usually when people have a lot of equipment, they usually have extras as well, or they may have, say, a sleeping bag for cold and a sleeping bag for warmer. Well, you can borrow their one that they're not using and either bring another blanket with you to make it as warm as you need it, or whatnot. It looks like our polls in, and I would say 100% of everyone who voted said 0 to 20% of their equipment is DIY and whatnot. And I think I would agree too. I think mine is probably in that range as well. There's a couple of the pieces that I know I've made and I really like. Have definitely used a Folgers coffee container, a small one, and put toilet paper in it, just to keep it dry and keep it clean. That has been awesome. And I've definitely used, I have a lantern that I sometimes bring, but maybe not always. I'll use my water bottle and I'll connect my headlamp to it if I want to make like a little impromptu lantern for my tent. But personally, I kind of like just using my headlamp on my head a little bit more. But if there's someone else in the tent, we're like maybe playing cards or something, it's kind of cool to have that little bit of a lantern going on.
Right. Yeah, totally. I agree. Definitely. I like that idea with toilet paper too, is the Folgers kit. I usually just like either undo the toilet paper, or I realize that this toilet paper that I have in this bag here is actually is paper towels. But I like to take them off the thing, and I guess I didn't want to take it off my toilet paper ring, but taking it off and folding it and putting it in a plastic bag works great too. Keeps that stuff dry.
Definitely. My go-to, if it's just a small trip or if I'm like really worried about weight, is I'll actually get like a Kleenex container, like the single serve ones, because it's already folded, it's packaged up, and you usually get them and it comes in like a 6-pack of them. So I just take it and one goes in my backpack, one goes in my car camping bag, so all of my bags kind of already have it in there as an emergency if I forget to bring it or I run out of my normal stash. Because man, the idea of using leaves out there, if you pick the wrong leaf, number one, that would be awful, even in a very comfortable climate controlled house. If you're out there and it's hot and you're sweating and you're having to move a lot, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. Yep.
Nah.
Yeah. Another thing too that I have enjoyed having, and again, maybe it's a luxury for some, but baby wipes are great, man, for hygiene. Just in anywhere, like baby wipes are perfect for the outdoors too. If you can get like little portable packages of those too, those are nice.
For sure.
Before I launch the next poll here, we do have some messages in the chat.
Nice.
Matthew says, get the bear to attack the people with the good camping spots so they can run off and you can take their spot. That's a good tip.
What a hack.
What a hack.
That's a solid hack.
Then we got from Jordan, I have a Go Light backpack with no frame. Use my ridge wrist rolled up to provide frame for the bag to pack and use it.
For sure. Yeah, like utilizing your sleeping pad to do the frame. And yeah, sleeping pads, I think you can, people don't, I don't think always realize how many different things you can use your sleeping pad for. Whether like they even make some things where you can turn it into a camp chair where it just has a couple straps and you just like kind of put your ridge rest in it and you can sit down on it. And if you didn't have that, you can just fold it up and sit on it. And then now you have a padded spot for you to sit on. If it's wet outside, you have a dry spot. And if you get into like different kind of wilderness first aid scenarios, you can actually utilize sleeping pads for a lot of emergency evac stuff by making big leg splints out of them. You can use it to actually make into a litter to bring people out. Sleeping pads are super versatile. And I like that idea of having the frameless bag to save weight on that, because frame is probably one of the heaviest parts of a backpack.
Yep.
Alrighty, and going back to the previous conversation, I'll launch this poll here. Titled Everybody Poops.
So while everyone's filling this one out, one of the things we were joking about a little bit earlier is there's a lot of good tips and tricks to pooping in the woods. It's something that comes up on camping trips, and there's ways to make it a lot more comfortable. And in the video that we made, one of the things that I had talked about was one of my favorite poop kits, and it always involves a cam strap. And basically, the cam strap you're able to put around a tree to make a loop, and then you kind of put the loop around you, and you sit back in it, and then it takes all the weight off your legs. Because if you think about it, if you try to do like a squat, man, you can really only hold a squat for a comfortable one, not very long. And I don't know about you, but the one time that I never want to lose my squat is if I'm hovering over where I just went to the bathroom.
Yep.
So I think having that cam strap and taking that out of the equation, you can lean back in that cam strap for like 20 minutes. I mean, that's a long poop outside, but like if you need to, you eat some weird stuff camping. I get it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do my camp hack video about my favorite pooping techniques. Sean and I actually, we got to do a whole presentation at a conference about pooping in the woods.
We did. It was awesome.
We hope it was a crowd favorite.
The results came in. About 75% of those who voted said yes, they have pooped outdoors.
Nice.
25% said no.
Nice.
Maybe on the next episode we'll have to talk about our 5-star pooping scale that we utilize to kind of, yeah.
I think we totally could. Cool.
Well, good deal. Well, I know. Thank you all for the questions and the ideas. We're really pumped to see what people are submitting. So definitely feel free to go through the interweb and try to recreate your favorite camping hacks that you've seen. Or if you have one that we haven't seen, we'll be even more stoked to see that. Like that's, yeah.
Matthew is asking, is the next episode going to be a poop-centric?
Poop-centric? I don't know. We'll have to look at what we've got on the calendar. We may have to do an anniversary poop special show or something.
We might have to. Keep an eye out.
Yeah. Good
Cool.
deal. Good.
Oh, no, he just said, he's correcting me. I didn't say poop-centric, I said next week. Is the next
Oh, yes, we are planning on still having the show next week. Yeah, I know it's the in-between time with exams and stuff, and to everyone out there, good luck with your exams. I know it's just kind of a crazy week and whatnot, but you're almost there. We'll get through it.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, well, until next Tuesday, thanks again for joining the Sean and Sean, the Great Outdoors Show. Appreciate y'all coming in and watching. And until next time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Sean. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Good luck, everybody, on your exams.
Later.
Bye, guys.